So today's class is dedicated to His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. We are celebrating his 97th appearance, the anniversary of his appearance 97 years ago. He's our beloved Srila Gurudev, the Sevite President Acharya of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, the successor of Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhardev Goswami Maharaj, the Rupanuga Dhara carrier of that current of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which is a very specialized line of Krishna consciousness. And Veera Chandra Prabhu, are you able to stay Saturday for the festival? Okay, good. Maybe just you can say a few words in glorification of Srila Gurudev. This is for the Hari Katha podcast. Just a little glorification. Veera Chandra Prabhu is my dear god brother. And maybe we need this mic in front of him. Just from your heart, some words about our beloved spiritual master and your divine connection to him and how that inspires you and keeps you going and how it changed your life.
Yeah, meeting Srila Gurudev for the first time in my life was like you meeting some extremely important person, but he's known you before you were born, kind of thing. So it was this kind of feeling for me when I first met him. And I had a few darshans with him in Kolkata. So I had his association just for a little bit, because I came later, like his last pastimes, like when he was like, you know, more or less like, say, like ill, and I was trying to wait to take initiation from him directly. So I remember these moments of my first time in India and waiting for Srila Gurudev to be able to give me initiation. And then I ended up getting initiation, actually, Ritvik, but I got it. I was able to see Srila Gurudev right after I got initiated, which was very nice.
It was just downstairs and he was upstairs.
And he was upstairs, yeah. And Srila Janard Maharaj gave me Ritvik at that time. And yeah, so many like little moments I had with him also in regards to after taking care of Siddhanti Maharaj, which was really beautiful. And I remember him saying that Siddhanti Maharaj was his best friend, which was amazing to hear that. And I remember the first time meeting Srila Gurudev before I got initiated, and he said, "Are you going to Navadip Dham for, Gaur Purnima Parikrama?" I said yes. And he's like, "It's very good if you can go, like every year." So I got like some blessing for that, because I was able to make it for the festival in India, like maybe 6 years in a row. Yeah. So, and yeah, I didn't get a chance to really get direct, so many, we're so lucky when we have our spiritual master to tell us kind of like specific mission, like a life mission, or just like a specific goal that, other than what's in the scriptures, just having their personal guidance is so beautiful. And like But I do remember this moment in my life where I must have been away from the devotees or something, but I was wondering if I'm going to get I don't know how to say this, but like maybe a cue from Srila Gurudev at some point. And he had already left this world, so I don't know. And I had a dream, a beautiful dream with him, very, very like affectionate and just kind of like, this is my family member and we're just sharing our time together, you know, without any sort of formalities so much. But I remember in this dream was the only time I feel like I got direct guidance from him, even though it was a dream. He's like, Virachandra, just try not to kill anyone. So I'm trying to take that to heart.
That was when Munindra Mohan Prabhu received initiation from Gurudev on his veranda in Navadvip. He was giving him the beads and telling him the 4 regulative principles, but he couldn't remember them at that moment. They just like escaped him, and he just said, just don't kill anybody.
One regular principle to remember.
Yeah.
Well, you've managed to follow that one.
Yeah, I mean, so I in the last year and a half, I've been more or less like not in any sort of like in association of this personally in a spiritual community so much. Like I've been living in Hawaii and kind of far away from everyone, but I feel so fortunate that I've been able to still listen to Srila Gurudev's words, and that's been keeping me alive, really, spiritually speaking. Yeah. I remember in the beginning of my spirit, like in the first year when I was initiated, I was like, how am I supposed to like get through the like the Bengali accent, or like, you know, hear clearly what Guru Maharaj is saying, you know, and there's kind of like these barriers first when you're, I don't know, trying to sing Bengali songs, or, you know, there's this cultural barrier, and you coming from the West, it's there usually for everyone, I think, in some way or another. But it's so nice now that I can actually understand, you know, 80 to 90% of what Gurudev is saying, and it's like a direct transmission instead of like kind of, you know, what we get many times is like a translation of a translation of a translation for many devotees around the world, you know. So having that is, I feel so fortunate, and yeah, and just to think that Gurudev appeared almost 100 years ago, just blowing my mind right now. I just can't even believe that. Like, what? Really? So, yeah, I hope, that's my prayer now. It's like, I'll be around for that. Yeah. I won't have killed anyone, and I'm still alive.
Yes.
for the golden...
You're doing way more than not killing people.
Yeah.
Virachandra Prabhu lived many years in Ukraine, in our temples and ashrams, and attended our festivals. And he's famous for his operatic kirtan. We sometimes joke he's our Freddie Mercury. Like really, like on Harinam Sankirtan, he can just, what do they say, belt it?
Belt, yeah.
Belt. He can belt it out and just capture everyone's attention. Beautiful singer, beautiful heart, servitor, very humble, and devotees always are a little like magnetically attracted to his sheltering affection. Like anyone struggling, they can go and talk to him. He sympathizes. Maybe you can't solve everyone's problems, but you can sympathize and make people feel heard and give some affectionate, cooling shelter. I've seen that many times. So we're so glad you're here with us, and so glad you changed your ticket.
Yeah.
He was supposed to go to Japan on Friday, but he's gonna stay. We have a big festival on Saturday for anyone who wants to come and attend. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj's Divine Appearance, Vyāsa-pūjā Festival. And that's a huge day for us. It's like the happiest, biggest day for us, the followers and disciples of Srila Gurudev. 97 years ago on that day, Gurudev appeared in the world. It wasn't an ordinary appearance. His parents were very pious brahmanas, and they lost their first child. And that's quite a theme. Like in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's life, his parents lost their first child. Mahaprabhu, his parents, they lost like 13 children. It's some theme which like triggers in Leela, in pastimes, like the desire for protection from above, like that triggered in Gurudev's family, the family going to Buru Raj Shiva, praying to Buru Raj. Buru means old, Buru in Bengali, old Shiva, old king. And this temple, it's in Jamalpur, West Bengal. And they say it's such an old temple, no one can say how old. No one's ever known how old that temple is. It's just very ancient temple with this ancient Shiva who's particularly powerful. People go there to do their offerings and puja, and many times they get possessed by this Buru Raj Shiva. And Gurudev would talk about that, like somebody going and offering, and then all of a sudden Shiva enters into them and they start speaking interesting things and doing things. And Gurudev said he interviewed someone once. One lady went there and got possessed by Shiva, and he talked to her and said, "What happened?" And she said, it was completely not her. It's that the power of Shiva entered her and spoke through her. Strange things would go on in this temple. And it's the same temple that Srila Sridhar Maharaj would go and offer lotus flowers to from Hapanya. It's kind of strategically in the middle of Hapanya, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's birthplace, and Vamanpara, Gurudev's birthplace. It's this little village called Jamalpur. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj would go offer lotuses, and that's where he saw the Vishvarup, the universal form of the Lord was revealed to him. And Gurudev's parents went to this temple with their offerings and prayers that may your son come in our family. We want your son Shiva to be born in our family. Because they lost their first child, they were very concerned about the next pregnancy, and so they approached for this special boon from Shiva. Then, 9 months later, Tarangini Devi, who we affectionately call Thakur Ma, Grandma, Gurudev's mother, Tarangini Devi, she gave birth in a little thatched hut. And as the tradition in Bengal is that only the ladies are in the maternity room, not the father, not any male. And there were family members keeping guard outside, and the news came, the baby was born. And they told Gurudev's father, whose name is Nitai Pada Das Adhikari. Their family name is Chatterjee, the Brahmin named Chatterjee. But it is said during the time of Nityananda Birachandra that their names got changed to Das Adhikari. So Nitai Pada kept that name, Das Adhikari. And there's some family connection to Birachandra Prabhu. That was his preaching zone like 500 years ago. And it is said that their family deities, Radha Gopinath, were installed by Birachandra. The family just have heard this. And so that's like the legend of the family, that Nityananda's son, the son of Nityananda and Vasudha. Nityananda Prabhu had two wives, Janava Devi and Vasudha Devi. And Vasudha gave birth to Birachandra. Janava Devi didn't have any children, and she was a guru and preacher, used to travel around, but Birachandra was born into Nityananda's family and was also an acharya and was mentioned even more merciful than Nityananda. And Gurudev said, like, how much more merciful? Like, chaos was ensued by the mercy of Birachandra. Like, he converted so many Buddhists and Mayavadis, and like anyone who'd like walk in front of him, Birachandra would just throw himself at them, beg them to receive the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And like, so merciful that some course correction was required after his like acharyaship. After his mercy inundated the world, some like things just went massacre, Gurudev said. So like, we can't even conceive of that kind of mercy. What a name you got from him. Named after Birachandra Prabhu, the original. So Gurudev's line is in that parivar. It's called Vamsa is bloodline, parivar is spiritual line. So Gurudev's father was a guru in that parivar of Birachandra, Nityananda, Janava Devi. And so they believed their family deities were installed from Birachandra Prabhu. Their name was given by Birachandra Prabhu. And Gurudev was born into that line. And his father was a kirtanir, an amazing kirtan singer. And they would have very confidential kirtan meetings where Gurudev wasn't allowed. Like, no children were allowed. These are higher Radha Krishna Leela, and very confidential songs were sung by Vidyapati, Chandidas, Jayadev Goswami. And Gurudev was so eager to hear these songs, he would hide in a barrel. There was a big barrel near where they were singing, and he'd go inside and listen. And Gurudev loved his father very much. He was a very like jolly personality, like the Vaishnavas that are always like chanting like Gaura Hari, Janitai, Hare Krishna. And like when he'd cook, he'd be chopping the vegetables, holding Gurudev, chopping vegetables, chanting, and like always happy. This kind of personality was Nitai Pada Das Adhikari. And Gurudev said he had a lot of close connection with his father, but his mother was like fierce. He described her as like violent. And we're always like, what's this all about? And we asked her, because she lived in the Mat. She was a great Vaishnava, Thakur Ma, Tarangini Devi. And she said, I wasn't violent. He was so naughty. You cannot imagine, like, the things he would do. She gave us one example, like, we just milked all the cows. We had this big vat of cow milk, and that was like our village sustenance, selling milk. And just when we'd complete all the milking, he'd go and like pee in that vat and spoil the whole thing. They'd have to throw it all out. And he described her as like chasing him with like a fire and tying him up, and he like would never go to school because his school teacher was also violent. And we're like, what's with all this violence? And they're like, no, it wasn't. He was just so bad. And he would spend his school days in the tree. He hated school. And it was a mango tree that he'd climb up and eat all the mangoes and like throw the pits at people. And they'd try to get him down to go to school. And the only time he'd go to school was when like it was inevitable, he couldn't get out of it. He'd bring his father to sing to everyone, to like pass the time in song. His father was like known as the famous kirtan singer, so he'd bring his dad and like distract the whole class lesson. It was all going to be kirtan. When we went one year to this school that he apparently attended, he said, "It's so nice to visit the school I never came to." The whole village came to see him. It was Pushari school in the nearby town. And the whole village came for prasadam and came to see him. Because when one takes sannyas, they don't return to their village. At least, like 10 years, cannot go back. It's just the rule. So after so many years, it had been way more than 10 years, he went back and everyone wanted to come see this Govinda Maharaj, one of us. There were so many people that came for lunch prasadam. The whole village, they were sitting in these rows. We didn't have enough cups to give them water, so me and so many of the others, we just went around with water pitchers, and I went to the ladies and the children, and they'd open their mouths. Wow. And we'd pour water in their mouths. That's how we served them. Anyhow, this is just the beginning of Gurudev's life. He traveled like 30 times around the world, visiting ashrams and temples, very affectionately, closely associated to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. They were a preaching team, Gurudev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Gurudev. They would preach together. Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj would distribute Srila Prabhupada's Back to Godhead magazine in those early days. He was the first one, the first distributor of Back to Godhead magazine. And when Srila Sridhar Maharaj couldn't attend the meetings, Gurudev would go, and Prabhupada would put him on the Vyasa-san because he was a brahmachari in saffron, and he'd have Gurudev read the Sanskrit verse, and Prabhupada would give the commentary, and they were like a team. And in the daytime, sometimes Gurudev would go out distributing the magazine Back to Godhead. He'd meet in Bengal so many Kali worshippers, and he'd have this exchange with them, like they were into Kali, he was preaching Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada would tell, like they'd have a debrief after the day, and Prabhupada would say, you tell them, like, when you go, you get what you worship. where you put your faith, your focus, your intention, you're going to get a corresponding result. So you're worshiping Kali, you know you're going to go to her domain where she's living in a graveyard. Her garland is a garland of skulls. She's like naked and covered in ashes, and it's like a gruesome cremation ground where she's living. Is that what you want? Or do you want to play and frolic in Goloka Vrindavan with Lord Krishna, where there's unlimited butter and milk products and joyous, amorous pastimes, where all the trees are wish-fulfilling trees. You can go to the banana trees and ask for mangoes or whatever your heart desires, where every word is a song, every movement is a dance, where there's all beauty, charm, sweetness, affection, love existing eternally. And so Prabhupada would give him like some ammunition, philosophical ammunition to go out and preach. So this wonderful exchange was there. And so many stories. We cannot do justice, but Gurudev, when his father passed away, Gurudev was the eldest of the children. He had two younger brothers, Dhananjaya Prabhu and Vishwarup Prabhu. They were all disciples of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, including their mother, which transpired because Gurudev went to Bamanpara, went to Nadan Ghat, the nearby village, to support his family. When the father leaves, the oldest son is responsible for the family's maintenance, livelihood. So Gurudev went to work for a doctor's assistant, and he would send the money back to his mom in the village. But the Chaitanya Saraswat Math preaching team came, and they would go out, especially like before Gaur Purnima, and collect donations and potatoes and ingredients for Gaur Purnima festival. And they were preaching in his village. They had a pandal, and everyone came to hear from the Chaitanya Saraswat Math preachers, who were very impressive. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's team, Sudarshan Brahmachari, Advaita Brahmachari, they were very effulgent, very powerful, very erudite. And Gurudev was attracted. He saw them and he was hearing their Harikatha, and he said they brainwashed him with like, this world is nothing, temporary show, and we are children of nectar, awake and arise and search for reality. You are meant for nectar, you are not, meant for loitering in this material world. And they preached like this to him, and like, yeah, okay, just take me with you. I'll go with you. And he said, but you have to take me now. He wouldn't have this particular nature. He'd never say no. And like, take me now. Srila Sridhar Maharaj was the opposite. He would always say no, like, nope. Very like exclusive and thoughtful. And Gurudev was like random, like, okay, let's do it. Everything's yes. Take me now. And there were no boats at that moment to go to Navadvip Chaitanya Saraswat Math. They had to swim across the river. They couldn't wait. It was Nrsimha Chaturdasi, 1947. Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance. It was a fasting day. Gurudev couldn't fast. It was like a disaster when it was time for him to fast. Everyone would be afraid to go near him. But they arrived at the Chaitanya Saraswat Math. There wasn't much to see externally, because it was the jungle ashram, situated on the banks of the Ganges. Early morning, they were all wet, entered into the mat, and Gurudev was like expecting something else, but they said, don't worry, there's a big sadhu here. He saw the big bamboo pole with the flag, like a little, one little building, a few shacks. They said, there's a big sadhu inside. Don't be disappointed yet. And they brought him to meet Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He's meeting his Guru Maharaj for the first time and saying, like, you know, he's heard so much in his life, being born as a Gaudiya Vaishnava and hearing about the scriptures. And he'd heard about Sanatana Goswami, very aristocratic, very knowledgeable, impressive, fair. You know, what he heard about Sanatana Goswami, he said he was reminded of Sanatana Goswami when he saw Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Very tall, very fair, very aristocratic, very beautiful features, very captivating, and just fell at his feet. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj spoke to him, like, how long can you stay? Yeah, Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked Gurudev, and he was a little like, I mean, I came here forever. What do you mean? Like, do I have to leave soon? A little like, you know, when someone asks you sometimes, how long are you staying? You think like they want you to leave. And you're like, you know, I'm here. I just arrived. I'm not going anywhere. So Gurudev felt like, when I come somewhere, I come forever. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, can you follow my instructions and not your mind? And Gurudev's, yes. His famous yes. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj watching him. Within 7 days, he knew, this is my successor, this boy. And he told Srila Gurudev, you have to unlearn everything you learned before. Because you come from a qualified Brahmin family, you know so many things, you know so many songs. But I don't want any sahajya mix, any imitations, any like possible contamination in your ontology, philosophy, your understanding. You let it all go, and I will teach you from scratch. And gave him, ticked off like 20-something songs, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sharanagati learned these songs, memorized them. Forget your other ones, all the Chandidas, Vidyapati, which he learned in that barrel. Jai Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sindar, Giriraj Govardhan. When he was hiding in the barrel during his father's kirtans, he learned all those songs and amazed everyone later when his father passed away. Like they were like, who will sing now that Nitai Pada Das Adhikari is gone? Gurudev's like, I could do it. And he did it, and that blew everyone's mind. Like, how did you learn this? You weren't allowed in the kirtans. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj was like, unlearn all these things for now. Later he did ask Srila Gurudev a few times, sing that song, that confidential song in private. But Gurudev was trained up from the beginning. And some of the brahmacharis in the ashram, there weren't so many at that time, because Gurudev said, like, one time Devashish Prabhu said to Gurudev, like, I wish I could have been there in those early days with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Gurudev was like, you would not have been able to handle it. Like, they were living under such exclusive, strict rules and etiquettes, and the training was very specific in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's line. That, like he told Devashish Prabhu, you wouldn't have been able to tolerate those days. Like if someone would not wake up for Mangal Arati, out. Get out. And Gurudev was the merciful one, like, no, like, let's just stop their breakfast. They have to fast from breakfast. Gurudev was the cushion that kept everyone on board. So one day, Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj was, within that those first 7 days, he saw Gurudev react when he was taking prasadam. Something happened, went an eye shot of Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj. And Gurudev saw some insects in the dal and was hesitant to eat it. And that's why he was like, what's this? Like, oh. And then in his mind, he remembered Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj's instruction. Are you going to follow me or your mind? And so he took that as like, this is prasadam. Coming from Guru Maharaj, from Mahaprabhu, Radha, Krishna. This is what has come to me, and I must accept it. This is like what's coming by the grace of the Mat. It's Mahaprasad. I'm not going to get deterred by any external, physical, obstacle or... I'm going to accept this. And he took that prasadam. And Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj asked later, what was that all about? And Gurudev explained, like, I first rejected it in my mind, then surrendered and accepted it after remembering, I'm following you, and you are the giver of our prasadam, and I'm accepting all of it in all of its form, good or bad, which is ultimately good. So this relationship was established very early on, and Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj knew this is my successor. And that loving relationship continued 50-something years. And Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj couldn't tolerate when he'd have to go, because for some time he lived in marriage life. Gurudev married, had 3 daughters. One of them, Gurudev said, was a pure Vaishnava, but she passed away early. And Gurudev had some exchange with her. It's in chapter 7. He refers to that conversation. The waves of birth and death, when this departed soul was about to be consumed in this wave that was coming, this energetic wave that was coming to take her to her next life. And Gurudev was talking to her, because he was the son of Shiva. He had all these mystic powers. He could see the ghosts. He was always talking to the ghosts. Once we were all sitting together in his veranda and in Calcutta. Janardhan Maharaj was there, Ashram Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj. Some of us were there sitting at his feet. And Gurudev's like, go, go, go. Talking to somebody who we couldn't see. And we asked, like, what's going on? And Gurudev said, there's a ghost living in that tree, the mango tree outside. He wants to see Janardhan Maharaj's face. And Janardhan Maharaj was like so scared. The whole night long his light was left on. But Gurudev had this thing. Wherever we'd go, the first night he'd meet all the ghosts. In Australia, he met the chief Aboriginal guardian of the Mount... Mount Warning. Yeah. The spiritual chief came to ask him, like, what are you doing here? What are your intentions? And Gurudev explained who he was, what he was doing there. And that guardian was, okay, you're fine. You're safe. We went to Italy, and he's seeing all the ghosts in this castle, sleeping with the light on. He said London was the most haunted place he's ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But he had this exchange with his daughter. His daughter was showing him what the afterlife is like. And that some period, like 3 days, the soul is kind of living where it passed away and can watch and see everything, and then like go to its waiting place. And after some time, the wave of birth and death comes. And she was describing it to Gurudev like it's this powerful, like momentum, energetic push coming to push the soul, which then like gets attached to rain, and the rain will rain down into the grains, and the grains get consumed by the father, and then the father, through intercourse, injects that soul into the womb of the mother, and the rebirth process takes place. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. But she was saying that wave's coming, and you can hear him talking. He talks about it in one of his lectures that's in Revealed Truth, Chapter 7. So Gurudev had his family life, but very briefly, and his wife was some extraordinary Vaishnava. She had a dreadlock that had some mystic powers. Gurudev said if you would cut the dreadlock off, she'd lose her powers. It was some mystic wife he had, 3 daughters. We know 2 of his daughters, but we didn't meet the one who passed away, Jayashri and Bhavini, Bhavatarini, something like that. Very auspicious Brahmin family. But when Gurudev would have to go to Calcutta to see his family, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would send his servant to the bridge to intercept him on the bridge, bring him back. Like, I can't tolerate that he's leaving. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj suffered from extreme migraine headaches, and Gurudev prayed to Shiva, give the medicine. They tried everything, called all the doctors. Nothing helped these extreme migraines. Then when Gurudev was bathing one day, he heard the sound of Shiva's voice saying, Kali Fas. It's a homeopathic remedy for stress, for migraines, for anxiety, mental problems, but it cured Srila Sridhar Maharaj's migraine medicine and gave him new life. So this amazing exchange took place. Then Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in his very advanced age, was pressuring Gurudev, like, okay, I want to transfer everything to you now. And I want to take a step back and to spend the final days, just relishing these higher things in a very confidential, small group. And Gurudev was hesitating so much to take this position as successor Acharya. Then, after so much hesitation, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is threatening. I will break this knot. I'll give the deities respectfully to Puri Maharaj in Mayapur. He is famous for his archan. His team can worship the deities, and I'll shut this place down. I'll break it. I'll dismantle it. That was his threat. Like, after so many Gurudev, trying to get out of this, he knows what it means to be guru, and he did not aspire for that position. And was like, I'll give position to someone else and support anything but this. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave his final threat, and Gurudev's, I'm your sacrificial goat. You can cut my neck, cut my tail, okay. So Gurudev surrendered, took sannyas, took the position of Acharya. We saw in one instance, Gurudev had to go to do some service outside. Maybe Hapanyo, he was building Srila Sridhar Maharaj's temple in his birthplace, and Gurudev was absent, and there were 2 devotees that needed initiation, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj had retired from initiating. But because Gurudev wasn't there, Srila Sridhar Maharaj acted as Ritvik for Gurudev and gave them initiation. So they were leaving, that was their only chance. Madhavananda and Shyama Didi. And Shyama is Thai, and she's our very first Thai devotee, and Madhavananda Prabhu from America. I just saw them in Portland, Oregon. They came to meet us. But yes, such amazing history. There's no way I can tell everything, but some idea. Gurudev then took the chair very humbly and let Srila Sridhar Maharaj live his final days worry-free, but he also made it possible for the whole Western world to come and meet Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He gave access to the disciples and followers of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada who needed further guidance after Prabhupada's disappearance from the world. And so many beautiful talks were given during that short period, and so many beautiful books came from that period, thanks to Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, and Mahayogi Prabhu and the team, the Guardian of Devotion Press from San Jose, California. They made all these beautiful books that Gurudev considered as deities. And this Mahaprabhu was given by Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj because Goswami Maharaj was establishing a temple in San Jose and was asking, what should Mahaprabhu look like? He was going to request the Murtiwala, the maker of the deity, to make a Mahaprabhu for San Jose. And Gurudev showed this Mahaprabhu, who was meant to go to Hapanya. He was hiding behind Mahaprabhu on the altar in Navadvip. And Srila Gurudev showed him like this. You can ask for Mahaprabhu like this. This form with one arm here, one arm here. And Goswami Maharaj is like, well, maybe he would like to come to San Jose. And Gurudev never took anything lightly. Wasn't just dismissive, brushed it off. He was like, Goswami Maharaj wants Mahaprabhu, Hapanya Mahaprabhu. And he told Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj first refused the idea. I was like, no way. He'll get lost in America, and who knows what will happen. And there was a big resistance to this idea. Then Gurudev said, you know, he gave us, at that time there were 3 books. Search for Sri Krishna, Shri Guru and His Grace, I think it was Golden Volcano. There's 5. There's also Subjective Evolution, Loving Search for the Lost Servant, Guardian of Devotion. Gurudev told Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gave us 3 deities. Then we can give him 1. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj couldn't refuse. And here he is. He stands on our altar. Can you show him? At this very moment, he's here with us after many adventures. From San Jose, went to Hawaii. Birachandra was also trying hard to bring these deities back to Goswami Maharaj. And finally, by divine will, they're here. So we're very proud of this Mahaprabhu, and Radha Govinda joined them. And Giriraj Govardhan now. In the same altar, they've been all around the world. Now full circle moment. They're all here by the grace of Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj. When we built this temple, Goswami Maharaj gave the dimensions for this altar spot because he was praying and hoping this altar would come and these deities would come back. And Avadut Maharaj always, you know how he's so eager for deities? He's always installing them everywhere and buying them for everybody, and he's like deity happy. Goswami Maharaj kept telling him, wait, wait, wait. We want Radha Govinda and Mahaprabhu to come back. And Avadut Maharaj had to be very restrained and patient. And it happened. I don't remember what year. It was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. They came back. It was a big festival. Bahulashtami, the day Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave sannyas to Gurudev. The manifestation day of Radha Kunda. They were put on their altar here. So, enough said for now. We will celebrate on Saturday, but this is like the Adivas, pre-Adivas episode of the pastimes of Gurudev in brief. And what can we say? Cannot do justice, but can only just share some of the things we learned and heard in all our time with Gurudev and the devotees. We're so fortunate to have the grace of Sri Guru and his grace. Sri Guru is not a sectarian concern. We cannot say, my Guru is better than yours. We know it is ultimately Krishna revealing himself in a multitude, a plurality of forms, in many ways, to enlighten us, like the guiding star in the sky, directing us to our real inner wealth and our higher purpose, and the ultimate gift of life is awakening our God consciousness and our service to God. And these higher things we find in Krishna consciousness, they're beyond our eligibility. Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions this in his Prapana Jivanamritam foreword, that these things, Rupanuga, what we are getting from the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, this is like all rights reserved territory. It's like, welcome to the land of no admission. Our Jitendriya Maharaj loves this saying. Like, we actually don't have access to that, even though it's our birthright to be Krishna conscious, and it's within. Bhakti is within. It's the nature, innate nature, and function of the soul. But this particular line of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, what is being given in the Rupanuga line, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's line, that is exclusive. And that is beyond our eligibility, and we can only get that from our gurus. So they are giving that to us on a golden plate. And, causeless mercy, ahai tuki. It is coming by their benevolent mercy. And we are recipients of that mercy. All we have to do is learn how to receive. Clean our hearts, do everything we can to be receivers for this descending grace. So we're so grateful to our divine guardians who've brought us to the feet of our gurus, who are enlightening our lives by their divine mercy.